doing next?
Well, to change gears a little bit, there's two things that we hear a lot about the risks of cannabis. One has to do, last week we talked about women's health, and of course the issue of cannabis use during pregnancy came up. And if it's not that issue, there's another issue that, again, you have research on both sides about the effects of cannabis on the brain. And recently, an opinion, an op-ed in the New York Times came out 2 days ago entitled Marijuana Damages Young Brains. Subtitled, States that legalize it should set a minimum age of 25. Now, you can debate whether or not the hyperlinks in this article, that the studies are credible. But the point is that researchers are studying this, and there is a concern. And when I look at this research, I always think of science as being able to make predictions.
Right.
Can we predict what will happen to someone who uses cannabis? And we just aren't there yet. So if you just took a bunch of brain scans and had doctors look at them, no one would be able to be like, that guy used cannabis, that guy did this, that guy exercised. Those standards don't exist.
Right.
But basically what they're worried about is that, it's no surprise that if you use cannabis, there'll be some decrease in processing speed, some effects on memory, attention span, concentration. And there's a debate that if you use it during adolescence, will those effects be permanent? Because in adults, those effects are not permanent and go away with abstinence. And so this article is actually written by two doctors that discusses how vulnerable the adolescent
It was an
brain
opinion
is.
article.
Opinion article.
Yeah.
They talk about IQ declines. And one of my favorite things about IQs is there's always a plus minus value with this. It's like plus or minus 8 IQ points. Everyone focuses on the negative effects. But I also think if we understood people who got benefits from cannabis, we might actually be able to understand when things go wrong more. But basically, one of the things that comes out of their article is that THC damages the brain, it's neurotoxic, and we should set an age limit of 25 for using cannabis.
For using medical or any kind of
just cannabis usage
in general.
25.
In general, 25.
Because the brain is still developing.
That's it, and the brain continues to develop at 25. So they're actually saying that you really shouldn't use cannabis until your brain is fully developed. So then if we use that argument, it's kind of a slippery slope argument.
Totally.
We can say you shouldn't use anything until your brain is 25, or maybe you shouldn't be allowed to vote until you're 25 because your brain's not fully developed yet. Or maybe,
18-year-olds have terrible choice in music.
Sure.
Well, we know that
your brain's not fully developed.
Right. No one should get. He's 19.
Okay.
But seriously, that kind of argument is really, and I have to say, as a clinician and having taught human development, I will agree that the brain is continually changing. But we also know that the brain is not a stagnant organ. It is a neuroplastic one, which means that it can continue to grow. That is something that we didn't even consider until about 20 years ago.